Hello and welcome to Qt Pixel. Today I'm continuing my software development stream, working on open source software development, and today I'm going to continue my project on a Twitch craps table chatbot. This is my stream schedule. You can see today I'm working on the chatbot, and my next stream will be on Sunday, February 3rd, Super Bowl Sunday at 9 a.m. Those times are in Pacific time, UTC -8, so translate that to your local time zone. And I will wrap up that stream on Sunday before the Super Bowl begins, so if you do wish to watch me and the Super Bowl, you will be able to do both. Apologies, I'm recovering from a bit of a cold today, so I'm going to have to mute myself on occasion to kind of deal with that, so please bear with me as I stream today and recover from that. Let's go look at what I did last time. My last stream was on Sunday. We worked on the chatbot back then. Let's go look at the notes. So first, as I added a contributor license agreement, the contributor documentation referred to that already, but I just added the actual PDF document that now exists now. I then added usage instructions to the README file, so that way if someone wanted to actually try to use the bot, they would have some basic ideas as to what they needed to do to make that work. Then I pushed that to GitHub and discovered there was a couple of minor things I wanted to fix up, so I went and fixed those up. We updated the bot so that there was a hello command, a hello world command, and I updated it to respond only if the sender is the bot owner. So I added the concept of a bot owner so that there might be some specialized commands that will control the behavior of the bot, and when we add those, we'll have those tied to only the bot owner. Then we added a message queue to stay under the Twitch limit for sending messages. Twitch has a pretty strict limit for bots to send messages. If you exceed that, your bot gets banned for 30 minutes. And so to avoid that, I added a message queue, and I only respond messages so fast, or I send messages so fast to stay under that limit. Moving on, we implemented a basic craps table logic from the come out role to the 7out. So those who are familiar with a craps table, or those who are not, you start out with a come out roll. If you roll a 2, 3, or 12, you lose. If you roll a 7 or 11, you win. Anything else establishes a point, and you need to repeat that point before you roll another 7 in order to win. If you roll a 7, you 7 out, and that ends that particular session. And so that's the basic behavior I've added to the craps table, and that actually works. And I will connect the bot to our chat channel in just a second to demonstrate that. And finally, I moved the processing of craps commands to the craps table. We had kind of a mix, intermingling of how the chat commands were processed, and I wanted to move the craps commands to the craps table class that I've been working on. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what this does in our chat room right away. I use Node.js to run the application, and it's just twitch-crapsbot.js. This will connect to my channel, and there it is, and there's a command that it will respond to me only, the craps roll command. We can see that this randomly rolls two 6-sided dice, so we have a 5 and a 4 for our 2 dice. Then we have the total in parentheses. The total is 9, and that is not a 2, 3, 7, 11, or 12, so we establish a new point of 9. And we need to hit another 9 before we hit a 7 in order to win. So let's continue on with another roll and see what it does. We got our 7 out right away, and so we lost. But the very basic logic is working, and we can see, so you can see that in the chat room. You can also see in my console window that all this is logged as well. We log who is sending what messages, what we're sending. I'm using queued test as my bot account, so it's different from my own personal account, and obviously queued pixel is myself. So that much is working. That's what we got to last time. Let's go take a look at what we want to do going forward. So first let me clear out the completed tasks so I can put in the completed tasks for today as I complete them. First is to store a balance for each player. So the idea is that as players gamble or place bets and win or lose, we will continue to maintain a balance and store a balance for each player and track how well each player is doing. I think I'm going to add in the ability to, allow players to get their balance. That's probably what I'm going to do here, is add in a balance command. At the same time, I'll add in the ability to store a balance for each player. The next up is to allow players to place or allow users. Let's go with players. These are kind of like stories, application stories, user stories, and I try to be careful about who is doing what. So a user is pretty generic. A user could be the administrator, a user could be a player, it could be anyone interacting with the app in any fashion. And so I like to delineate that a player is someone who is actually playing the game versus, say, an administrator is someone who is administrating the game. So we'll allow players to get their balance. Next up is to allow players to place a simple bet. The pass line bet is pretty much the most basic bet you can have in the craps table. At least it's one of the most common bets. It's the one I like to start with, but there's other simpler bets, but pass line is probably the most basic, most fundamental bet to the craps table that I want to start with. Next up is to maintain a minimum balance for each player. Players below the minimum balance are set to the minimum after a 7-out. So the idea here is that obviously craps and gambling in general is a losing proposition. The house has an edge that will take money away from you over time, and so unless there's a bug, which there very well might be at some point, players will be expected to lose money over time by playing on a craps table. And so by maintaining a minimum balance, it'll ensure that players will still be able to play even if they lose all their fake internet money. Next up, we'll want to save player balances. So as the app is closed and restarted, players will be able to restore their balance and have that be preserved over time. Then we have an option I'm not quite sold on yet. My idea here is to allow players to serve as the bank. So up to this point, players are basically competing or playing against some imaginary bank that has infinite money, and as players win, they get paid from this imaginary infinite source of money. If players lose, their money gets siphoned away into this infinite source of money. But my thought is to allow players to serve as the bank so that as you win, you are paid by the player who is serving as the bank. As you lose, you pay the player who is serving as the bank. And so it provides a way of players earning money without actually playing. My main concern with that is I'm just not sure how that'll work and if people will want to play as the bank, so we'll see. I may not do that, or I may undo that as we proceed here. And then once all this is done, I kind of view this as kind of the basic fundamental logic, and then we start adding in more craps bets. We have the don't pass, which is the opposite of the pass line. We have the come, don't come. It's basically the same as the pass and don't pass, but you can place those while you're in the middle of a roll as opposed to the beginning of a roll. We have odds. This is kind of additional bets you can place on the pass, don't pass, come, don't come. There's place. You can actually place bets on a specific number. There's field. It's kind of a weird little bet. You get paid if certain numbers are hit. Hardway. So hardway is where you hit two numbers of the same, or two dice with the same number. So a 2-2 would be a hard 4. A 3-3 would be a hard 6. If you hit those, you get paid a certain amount. Proposition bets, these are other kinds of bets. There's like 7, 11 bets. There's craps bets. There's all sorts of different kind of proposition bets you can hit. There's the fire bet. This is a specialized bet that is only available on some craps tables. And it's dependent on how many points you get throughout the length of a die or a rolling session, a craps session. And it's very rarely hit, but pays very well when it does get hit. The bottom, top, and all points are very similar. You get paid on that based on the numbers that are hit throughout a session. Bottom is the lower numbers below 6 or below 7. Top is the numbers above 7. And all points is all numbers. Then hot bets are basically specialized one-roll bets that a very specific die roll will come up. Then big 6-8 is an even money bet that pays if you hit the 6 or the 8 and loses on anything else. It's a pretty crappy bet. If you're going to play that, you're better to play a place bet on the 6 or the 8 instead, and they will pay better than the big 6-8. So those are kind of the basic bets I'm looking at. I might add and remove bets from that list as I see fit. There might be other more specialized bets that I'm not aware of. Some other logic to add. The ability to ability to turn bets on and off. So like some bets, once you place them, they're set. Like the don't pass bet is basically one that you can never take off. Once you place it and you get past that initial roll, you have to keep it until it is complete. Actually, scratch that as the opposite. The don't pass you can take off at any time, but it's the pass that once you place it and get past that initial roll and establish a point, you're not allowed to remove it until the roll is completed, until we either win or you get a 7 out. There's other bets, like the don't pass, where you can decide to remove it after the fact. And so let's say you add ability to remove bets. Many craps players are suspicious about lots of different things, and so they may want the ability to remove a bet after a certain point, even though normally it might be best to keep it on. Add the ability to turn bets on and off, so maybe you want to temporarily disable a bet, but don't want to remove completely. So if you feel bad or good about a particular roll, you could turn some of your bets off, and then turn them back on after a little bit. That's commonly used for things like your odds bets. If you place a bunch of come bets and then you place odds behind them, those are typically turned off for the come out roll. And so some players will decide to turn those on explicitly during the come out roll rather than have them be off by default. It's up to the players. Casinos prefer to have them off because those bets are the worst bets in the game for the casino because they pay even money. Well, they have no house edge. They don't pay even money, but they pay according to the exact odds of hitting those bets. And so they're great bets for the players, but they're bad bets for the casinos. So casinos love to turn those bets off. And but you can have the ability to turn them on explicitly if you want to do so. So that's kind of the layout of what we're going to do here. Let's go. Let's start looking at this first task here, which is store a balance for each player and allow players to get their balance. That's kind of the command I want to add here. Let's go take a look at the code. This is all in JavaScript. We have our Twitch CrapsBot file or class. It's not really a file. It's just a bit of logic here that does the connection to Twitch. We're using the Twitch.js library to connect to Twitch. We have a configuration that allows you to specify what channel you're connecting to. In this case, we're connecting to my channel, the CutePixel channel, and CutePixel is the owner. We also specify the message interval. This is how we limit how frequently messages are sent. In this case, it is one message every 2 seconds. However, if the bot is a moderator, you could send messages faster and configure that to be an even lower number. But I've gone with the most pessimistic configuration and assume that the bot is not a moderator, and you do want to limit it to the safest setting there. And here is craps table. There's a basic logic here. We have a helper function to get dice rolls, a random number between 1 and 6. We have a process command. This is used by the Twitch integration. When a craps command is sent in, it goes to this function to see how to respond to it. In this case, we only respond to the roll command, and we check if the username is equal to the owner. If it is, then we call this roll to do a die roll. This sends a message that gives the exact roll and the total. If a new point is established, we declare that. If the point is made, we declare that, and if we 7-up, we would declare that as well. So pretty basic logic. Nothing goes here in terms of betting. It's just the basic craps logic at this point. So we want to store a balance for each player. The way to do this is we're going to create a hash map or a map of some sorts to map player names to values, their balance. And so we could try something very simple. We could say your var balances is equal to the empty object. Basically, in JavaScript, every object is a basic hash table, and we could do something like balances foo is equal to 100. Balances bar is equal to 200. And I actually want to do something simple here. Let's say foo bar baz. This is a test. And now let's do a console.log. Let's just grab both of these here, just for testing purposes. I want to see what it would take to access these variables here. I think we'll keep that like that. And let's do the second one, this is a test. So just a basic prototype to see if this works here, to see if my assumptions are correct. Okay, excellent. So we can create an object. We can store things in it using this kind of array access behavior. And then we can bring it out using the array access behavior. So that's one approach. The other approach that I'm aware of is JavaScript actually has a map object. So we can say var balances. I just have a look at the documentation for this. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Say JavaScript map. Let's just map and see what this brings up here. Array prototype map. Nope, not what I want. So we have a new map. Key equality. Map length, there's get. See, clear, delete. Entries for each get has set. So I'm going to want the set and the get to try this here. So I construct a new map. Let's go add in these guys here. We'll say balances.set. And the key here is foobar baz. The value is going to be 100. We'll do the same thing for this is a test. And now let's bring up I'm just curious if I can not do this, but do what I was doing before, just see if it's the same interface, just for entertainment purposes. Let's just see if that does work. Okay, wow, that does work. That's really useful. So I'm just curious, why would one go with one or the other? Oh, I could iterate over the keys. Let's try this and say 4. Not sure how to do a for each. It's been a while since I've had to do a JavaScript for each. Let's go look that up. Let's try an actual for each loop here. That's for arrays. Looks like there is just a callback we need to specify here, so yeah, we'll just try that. We'll say balances dot keys dot for each. We need a callback for this. Let's go. I think I have a callback for something set up here. Yeah, I think we could do this. Let's try something like this here. So function, we'll call this a key, and then say console.log. Let's do key. And then the value. That'd be balances.get. Actually, no, we could do this. We could do balances, do array reference on key. Let's see what that does. Looks like there's a plus sign missing here. Let's go fix that. Doesn't like something. Oh, I have a dot in here. Balances keys for each is not a function. This looks like more like I might be able to work with here. Let's try this. So say for value of let value, let's see, key of balances dot keys. Let's go ahead and log that here and see if that works any better. Huh. Yeah, so this is one of the things I was afraid of, that this is actually not using the hash table functionality, but it is simply putting stuff into the object. So let's undo this, let's do that, and let's do this and see what happens here. Yeah, so we have undefined, undefined. I think we can fix up this here and say dot get key. Okay, great. And then, yeah, I just need to fix up these guys up here. Hello, Pixel Grief. Welcome to the stream. How is it going? I'm just doing some very fast prototyping here to see how to establish a map or a hash map of balances. I'm aware of two basic JavaScript options here. Work, boo. Well, those bills are not going to pay themselves. But I hear ya. You got money burning a hole in your pocket. Need to get this thing working. What? Well, last I checked, they don't pay themselves. All right, so I think we have a working map here. And so yeah, we just have the two different options here. We've got the object option, where I basically add the values directly as properties on an object, or I have a map option. And I think the map option is useful for a couple of different reasons. I think the map option will actually store order. So if I put things in it in a certain order, the order will be maintained, versus an object, the order will not be maintained in an object. However, I do really like the syntax for accessing properties on an object. But the map isn't terrible. We've got the set and the get. The map also has this iterator, and I'm not sure if the object will have an iterator. It probably does. but I think this is I'm tempted to go with the map approach. So we'll stick with that. Let's go look at the craps table class and start adding this logic in. So in this case, as a reminder for those just joining us, we're working on storing a balance for each player and giving players the ability to have a command to query their balance. Probably something like craps balance. It's kind of what I'm thinking of for that. So let's take a look. So we have our point. And then let's create player balances here. Declare that as a new map. And so we can say if command is equal to balance, we want to check to see if the balance already exists. And so we have a has. So we can say if this dot player balances dot has username Actually, let's go with not. If it doesn't have it, let's store it. I will say this dot player balances dot put username comma I don't know. Let's start with 100 as a minimal starting balance for players, and we'll see how that goes. So if they don't exist, we add it. And now we want to actually log or send a message to the player. So let's do this. So this on message. Let's start with their name. Username plus a space. Then let's get their balance here. I'll do get instead of put. So this does nothing particularly interesting yet. If the player doesn't exist, we give them a balance of 100. If the player does exist, we simply, well, then once we do this, the player exists. So if they already exist, we don't set it. And then either case, we just print out their balance. In this case, it'll be 100. And I don't limit this to the owner of the game. So, normally like the roll command is limited to the bot owner, but the balance command is limited to anyone. Anyone can run this. And so I should be able to just run this and see what happens. So let's go delete my prototype code. I think we're done prototyping. Let's go re-add in all the real code and give it a try. All right, so it is on our server or on our channel. Let's try craps balance and see what it does here. It crashes. Player balances.put is not a function. Is it set? Did I screw up and put instead of set? Picture says woot. Yeah, we're all here for the crashing. Who cares if it works? All we want to see is it blow up. I'm really good at blowing stuff up. That's like my specialty. And we can see here it is set, not put. So let's go fix that and type in set. I'm so used to different interfaces on Java versus JavaScript versus PHP. It's easy to get confused for these different APIs. Let's try it again. Alrighty, so it gives me my name and gives me my balance. If someone else were to try that, that would work for them as well. And I think I want to add a little bit of formatting here, and think about more money, more problems, this big grief. Exactly. So I want to think about formatting for this message and formatting for currencies. I know for the craps table that some bets pay back in odd values, like odds on a 6 and a 8 pay back 6 for 5, and so you can sometimes get weird change back if you're not betting proper amounts. And so my thought to handle this is to allow players to bet in increments of, say, $1, but store balances in terms of pennies or cents. And so let's think about this for a second. Let's first add a configuration value for the minimum balance or starting balance or something. Let's go starting balance. We said 100, but if we're going to store this in pennies, let's go multiply that by 100. So that'd be 10,000. Minimum balance for players, or starting balance for players. And then hundredths of actually, I don't think the administrator wants to deal with the hundredths of a unit. So I'll go with that. I like to include units where applicable. Like I could see up here that I did milliseconds. This is kind of a fake currency, so I'm not going to say like dollars or anything like that. So I don't really know what to put for the unit. I'm just going to leave that alone for the moment, and we'll see what that does. Let's go back to the craps table. And say set instead of 100, we will do config dot, what did we call it? Starting balance. And we'll multiply it by 100. Set the starting balance for players. Balances are stored in terms of hundredths of the unit of currency. So multiply the configured value by 100. Balances are stored in hundredths. That'd be in hundredths of 1 unit of currency. Multiply the configured value by 100. So I was talking a little bit about comments last time and how you have comments that are really useless. You're saying like you have a line of code that says I++, and then you have a comment that says increment I. Well, no crap, I can look at the code and see that's what's happening. So here we have this weird multiplication. We multiply the starting balance by 100. I could put in a comment that says multiply the starting balance by 100, and it doesn't actually tell anyone anything. So in this case, I'm saying why we're doing this. Balance are stored in hundredths of 1 unit of currency. Multiply the configured value by 100. So this is what we're doing. This is why. Of course, if I run it again now, we would get a we would get this weird 100,000 or 10,000 result, which wouldn't make any sense to players, because they're going to expect something that is more along the lines of 100. So let's come up with how to format a currency. Let's just produce a function here. Say format currency. Let's give it an amount. And so we could say return amount divided by 100. And see what that does. I'm a little concerned about rounding issues, but it's probably okay. The other thing I kind of want to do is possibly add in a currency symbol. So let's see if we can look up Unicode currency symbols and come up with something that is interesting. There's the euro currency, colon sign, peso, Bitcoin. See if there's anything else that shows up here. Dollar, cent, pound, currency, yen. Oh, we could try the currency sign. See if I can just copy and paste that into my code here and have JavaScript not complain too bitterly about it. Although I don't really like that. Well, let's start with that and see what it looks like. We can always add on to it later. Alright, so in this case, instead of player balance is get, we're going to say this dot format currency and pass in this guy. And just for testing purposes, I'm going to comment this out and add in our own kind of personalized variant. Let's go with $123.43. Actually, and 45 cents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just something basic. And then the only thing I saw is when the message came out, it came out with absolutely no kind of header or anything. We have the name, a space, and the balance. And so we could set up something like, balance, colon, the amount. Let's see what that looks like. So let's try that and try it again. Doesn't like something here. It doesn't like process command unexpected identifier. I probably have something broken here. I wonder if it's this Unicode currency symbol. Let's replace that with a $sign for now and see if that helps. Nope, something's still broke. Let's take a look here. I forgot a comma. Let's add the comma and try it again. Gotta get to my right browser window here. Let's say craps balance. Alright, so balance is that weird symbol 12345. 123.45. I really hate that symbol, so let's see if we could come up with some better generic symbol. I wonder if there's like a simoleon. Unicode simoleon. Or is there maybe like a section header, Unicode, section symbol? Ooh, yeah, I think that might look good. Let's try this. It's not a currency sign. It looks close enough to a $sign that I think people will get the point, and I think it'll look better than that weird symbol I've been using. So let's try that. Yeah, I think that'll work. We'll start with that and see how that works for us here. Well, this music's getting on my nerves. I think I've got to swap out the music here. Come with us before he kills you. Let's try chill. If you have any feedback on the music, be sure to let me know. I can always try different channels or kill out certain specific songs if a certain song is not working for you. I'll try to pick things that are appealing to me, and that last one just wasn't doing it for me so much. Alright, so we have some pretty basic stuff. Let's see what happens if someone does have the basic currency here, or the starting balance. Let's drop this and go back to the starting balance and try this again. I'm not sure about this music either. It's almost a little too soft, too slow. Not a number. Okay. That's not what I expected. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, I never actually configured. So I set it up in the config template, but I never actually copied it over to my own configuration. So let's go ahead and do that now. Need that comma here as always. Let's try it again. Alright, so that's one of the concerns I had, is that if you don't have a balance that goes into that hundredths digit, that it won't actually include the decimal point. So we need to actually use some sort of JavaScript formatting function. So let's go look up JavaScript how to format a number. JavaScript number methods. To string, to exponent, to fixed. Huh, well, to fixed could work. Let's go ahead and try to fix, but I want to add in another test. Now let's go with 100,000 as a starting balance. We'll give players a lot of money to play with. And let's do the to fixed. That's to say amount divided by 100 dot to fixed of 2. So we got our 2 decimal places of precision. Let's give this a try and see what that does. Great, so now we're getting the 2 digits of precision, but the reason why I went with such a large dollar amount, or currency amount, is because I wanted there to be comma separators in there, because if you have a really large balance, you want to make it easy to see what that is. So let's see what my options are here. To fixed, to precision. It'd be nice if there was a way to add in the commas. There's a to locale string. What does that do? Let's see if this gives me a little bit more information here about some of these functions. So I have 2 fixed. I was just wondering if there's like a secondary parameter I could use to do that, but no. To locale string. With locales and options. Locale matcher style. Currency might be nice. We have used gripping, maximum integer digits, maximum fraction digits. Let's give this a try. First I need to look up the international page to see what sort of locale I want to use. Just trying to see if I could cheat and come up with the one for the United States. I see there's locales, which is optional. I could try leaving it blank and just see what happens. I don't want the options. So this is what I'm looking for, the en-us. So let's try that. So let's say to locale string. First is en-us. Next up is some properties. And I think there's 2 that I wanted to set. It's a use grouping. The default is true, so I'm going to leave that alone then. Minimum integer digits, the default is 1, that's fine. Minimum fraction digits. The default for plain number percent is 0, so let's stick with let's actually specify this. And we'll say 2. Yeah, so we divide the amount by 100, so we get to the hundredths place. We get the pennies if we're using dollars. 2 locale strings should use the comma separators, and minimum fraction digits will give us those 2 digits. So let's give this a try, see what that looks like. Excellent, so we have 100,000 with the commas, with the currency symbol, and with the decimal point and the 2 fractional digits. So I think that is perfect. I can't think of anything else I'd really want to add to that, so let's look at the commit or the git diff and see where we're at. First, let's go fix my own configuration, go back to the 100. I want players to have 100,000. That's a lot of moolah. But 100 should be pretty reasonable. Alright, so we've modified our craps table class. We've added in a property of player balances, initialize that to a new map. We've added a format currency function that takes an amount, and we've got this extra line of code that I need to remove. Alright, that's been cleaned up, so now we return our currency symbol, basically the section sign. We divide the amount by 100, so it gets to the hundredths digit. We do 2 locale strings, so we get the commas, and we give it a minimum fraction digits of 2, so we get the 2 digits after the decimal point. Then we've added in this balance command. And one of the things that might help here is to let's simplify this a little bit. We don't need to have this be on its section there. We could do this, and let's add in like a player balance command or function. We'll say, how do I do it? I'll call it player balance or get balance or show balance. We'll bring in the username, so the parameter is the same, and let's just grab this block of code out. Nothing should really change here. If we would check to see if the player balances has the username. If it does not, we set it, multiply the starting balance by 100. Then in either case, we just print out or send a message with their balance. This will allow us to go back to this function and make this nice and simple. It's what this.showBalance. I can just do this. I think I got it on my clipboard. Oops, there we go. So it's a pretty minor refactoring, but this function is going to get a lot of logic put in here for the different commands. And so I think shuttling those off to other functions all right away will help with code cleanliness. You can see we already did that for the roll command, and so we're just doing it for the show balance as well for the user for that command. Let's test this again, make sure that nothing has broken. Alright, like I say, it works just fine. We no longer have the comma, but we don't have a large balance any longer. We have just the 3-digit balance, but I'm not worried about that working. We haven't touched that logic. And so yeah, we've just refactored that into its own function. It seems to be working just fine. Let's go take a look at the git commit again, or the git diff, and see where we're at. Yeah, so we kind of refactored this function a little bit. We got rid of this multi-line statement, because what's the point? It's easy to refactor that to a one-liner. We added this balance command, and we redirect that to show balance, and we've added show balance. It takes a username. If the player balances has that username, or does not have that username, we set the starting balance. In either case, we print out, or we send a message with their balance. We've also modified our config template. We added a comma after message interval and added starting balance. So let's come up with a commit message here. Say, add a command for players to get their balance. Pretty basic. There's more attached to that, but oh, sorry, Pixel Grief. The bot is not running right at the moment. If you want to give that a test here, I will go run the bot so you can give that a try here. Give that a try now. And just has my own stuff. I will set up another test through stream elements here. Pixel says, "Whoa, he's rich. Yes, you have 100 simoleons." And Stream Elements has that, and we all have 100 simoleons to our name. Seems to be working just fine. So yeah, I think we're at a pretty good commit point. Add command for players to get their balance. Let's go ahead and commit that. Oh, I could type honest. Excellent, there that goes. So let's go look at what's next. So store a balance for each player, that's done. Allow players to get their balance, that's done. I think next up is to allow for a very simple bet. Allow players to place a simple bet, the pass line bet. I kind of prototyped out what that command might look like. I got this craps bet type and amount. And so the bet might look like you craps bet pass 1. However, I've kind of outlined some ability to add and remove bets, or to remove bets, turn bets on and off. And so I think it might be better to have a command that says craps bet. Pixel says craps bet don't pass 100. Can you feel the love tonight? I see how it's going to be here. So I think I want to say craps bet add, and then the type and the amount. And so the command I would say is say craps bet add pass. Other options is we could say make. We could say make a pass line bet. Let's think of some options here. We've got add. We could do make. Place. I don't think I like the word place because that duplicates another bet that exists. Let's go with make. I think I like make because I think that's more of a betting term, or making a bet rather than adding a bet. So we'll say make, craps bet, make. Craps bet, add, craps bet, mate. We could always add variants of this if people want. We could have make and add and place be all synonyms for each other. And we can also make it so that if you don't say the word add or make, that it defaults to placing the bet. And we don't have this logic yet to add and remove bets and to turn bets on and off, so maybe for now, let's just not do that at all. Let's just leave it simple. The keep it simple, stupid principle. This is the only thing we really need, is we need the... And hell, we don't even really need the type at this point, because all we have is the pass line bet. But we know we're going to add new bets almost right away, so I think establishing the type right away will be good. And the amount. So let's stick with that. So craps bet pass 1. This will kind of be the target we're going to go for here. Hey Frosty, I did look at some of the stuff you mentioned to me. I looked up how to try to improve my introduction. I've added in a little more filtering to try to make that intro animation look a little bit better when it gets filtered down to 1080p. I've looked up the some filters for my audio. I was not able to find a way to automatically duck the music when I'm speaking. I did find a plugin that worked for Windows, but not on Linux. So I haven't added that yet. What I have added is noise suppression to try to get rid of some of the background noise going on. And I did lower the volume of the music just a little bit further. So I'm making kind of minor changes. I also looked up the link you sent me about that Minecraft plugin. Didn't really see obviously what you're looking for yet, and I didn't have a chance to write an email. So I did glance at it briefly, but just haven't had a chance to really think about it too much. So that's still on my list, and we'll look at that and get back to you. My first thought is it did look like it might be a little more complex than I'm willing to really get into. It would help if you could give me a better idea as to what you're looking for the plugin. Because the brief description I saw on that webpage you linked me to, I didn't see a whole lot of description about what it is. And so if there's a way it could give me a better description, either a YouTube video of what you're looking for, or that might give me a little better sense as to complexity. But my main concern is that there just might be way more complexity than I'm really willing to get into, because my real focus right now is on the work I'm doing, and unless it's something that's pretty basic, it's probably going to be more than I really want to work at. But we'll see. I'll take a closer look and see if that's something that I can work at here. And I do want to thank you for the advice you gave me about my stream last time. I have tried to, as I said, I did try to incorporate those changes as best as I can. And it's just going to be an ongoing process to improve things. It's tough for me to spend a whole ton of time on the stream, because any time I spend improving the stream is time I'm not streaming and time I'm not doing something else. So I got to balance my time between streaming and improving the stream and my other obligations. But hey, welcome back to the stream. For today, I'm continuing my work on my Craps bot, my Twitch Craps chat bot. And the current task is to allow players to place a bet on the pass line. And so this is going to be another command here. We'll say if command is equal to bet. And maybe this dot handle bet. And we'll want to say probably username and command. See, Frosty says, OBS should have a built-in ducking feature through the compressor. You could try and record a gameplay video for me. Okay. Yeah, I saw the compressor option, which I wasn't aware that the compressor option would have an auto-ducking feature, so I didn't actually look at that. So let me make a note of that. I'll take a closer look. Frosty. Investigate the compressor audio filter. It should have a auto ducking option. See, Frosty sent me a YouTube link here, so I won't look at this right now because I want to continue on my stream. I'll make a note of this for when I have a little more time here. So thank you for that. I will take a look when I have a chance. Alright, so I want to place a pass line bet. So let's go to the handle. Let's create a new function here, the handle bet function. We have username and command, so I pass it in the command so that we can actually process out or parse out the subcommand, or in this case the bet type. And so we could say, well, we have an example of how to do this within our Twitch interface. Let's go look at this here. Now let's just grab this whole block. Because it's not going to equal bet, it's going to be something else. It's going to be like a starts with. So if message starts with bet. We could say, oh, what did I do over here? Interesting, I have this variable, but I didn't declare it with var. I didn't think that that would be valid JavaScript, but apparently if you don't declare a variable, it still works. I'm not really sure what's going on there. That's interesting. In this case, I want to say, let's go ahead and fix this. We'll say var bet is equal to command dot substring. Instead of 6 characters, we want to do 4 characters and then trim it. Is that what we did here? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4. So we want to do 3 characters. Then the trim will get rid of that space. And then, yeah, instead of saying process command, we'll say this.handle bet. We'll say username, comma, bet. Anyway, to say if bet. Oh, I needed to start with something now. Let's see here. Where is my logic? Yeah, let's just grab this for the moment. Alright, so if the bet starts with pass, I'll do another space here. Then let's say var amount is equal to command substring 4, and that's not command, it is bet.substring 4 dot trim. And we want to convert this to a number. How do I do that? I'm going to say JavaScript string to number. We have parseInt, converts a string into an integer. We'll try that. Well, let's see, what does that look like? Yeah, so it's a plain function. parseInt. What is radix? That must be the base, so 10 should be the default, so I'm just going to leave that alone. Because I assume it will default to 10. And let's actually log a small message here. We won't actually place the bet yet. We don't have logic for that yet, but let's say on message username bet placed or bet made for this.format currency, and then let's do the amount. If we don't specify a pass line, let's say else and to send out an unrecognized bet or something. Yeah, so we get the amount. We're gonna have some issues here, like the amount should be if amount is less than 1. Cannot place a bet for the amount. If the amount is greater than their currency, let's add a helper function to get a balance. And let's actually add in, where is the logic here to get display the balance? And let's go pull out this as well. All right, so instead of printing out this, we're going to say just return this player balances get based on username. So just so we have this logic set up in one spot to check to see if they exist in our balances map. If they don't, we add them. In either case, we simply return their balance. So now we can do things like down here. We called it what? This.getBalance. And then we can drop all of this. Actually, we also need to be sure to multiply our amount by 100, because again, we track internally hundredths of a currency. So we parse the amount, we multiply it by 100. If the amount is less than 1, cannot place bet for that. And now we need if amount is greater than this get balance for a username. Let's say username a bet of blah exceeds your balance of this dot format currency, and we'll do this get balance username. So just doing very basic error handling here. Check to see they don't try to bet a zero amount, because what's the point, or something less than zero. A negative amount, that would be bad. Make sure they don't bet more than their current balance is. Some of these messages might be a little lengthy. We'll have to test in chat and see if we want to reduce these. Otherwise, we say bet made for and then the amount. I'm a little worried this bot will be a little chatty, so I'll probably get rid of some of these messages like this. I might get rid of these success messages, because I really only want the bot to really say something if something's going wrong. But we'll start with this for now and see what this looks like. This doesn't actually do anything. This doesn't actually place any bets, because we don't have data sources for the do that. This is just to parse out the bet and have basic handling of that so far. So unfortunately, I'm going to test this here. This is going to gum up the chat a little bit, so watch out for that. And all this is open to everyone, so you can poke at it if you want to. Just try not to abuse it too much while I'm debugging it here. Of course, I will break it myself first, so let's go fix that. I've seen that before. I see that when I add a new function and don't put a comma at the end of it, so let's go look for a function without a comma, like get balance. That's missing that. Let's put it on the right spot, out there. Let's give that a try. Missing something after argument list. So this is line 1, 2, 3. Ah, yes, we're missing a closing parenthesis there. Okay, so we're in our chat channel. Let's try to place a bet. First, I'll try craps bet. Let's try field for 10. Let's see what's going on. I crashed it. Error message is not defined. This is line 67. Let's go take a look at line 67 and see what I did wrong. If message, no, it is command in this case. We'll say if command starts with bet. Just trying to think through this a little bit here. I really like the fact that all these other things are all one-liners. And so I'm tempted to do this, to move this down. And here we have another issue. Bet needs to start with And let's send in command rather than bet. And then we don't need to do that. But we do need to say... Nope, nope, we're good. I think we're good there. Yeah, so I think that'll work. Let's try that. So if it starts with bet, let's just call in this dot handle bet. We'll say username, command. And I think that'll work. We'll just, we have this other thing here I need to get rid of. Let's drop that. Let's try that, see if that works. Say craps bet field for 10. All right, that's an unrecognized bet because we don't recognize the field. So let's try the other case. Let's say craps bet pass for 0. Cannot place bet for 0. Uh-oh, bet made for 0. Huh. We might have a bug here. Let's go look at that real fast. I probably need an else if in here. Yeah, so if amount is less than 1, we do that. We could do a return, or we could do an else. Pixel Group sees the same thing. He tries to place a bet for -10 and gets the same result there. Let's just do a return here. Yeah, we'll do an else. Oh, return. We'll do a return. It doesn't really matter. Let's add some spacing in here so these sections are separated. Let's give this another try here. So same test as before, we'll say craps bet field for 10. Unrecognized bet, we'll say craps bet pass. One of the things I want to test is what happens if they don't type in anything. What does that do? Unrecognized bet. Your message was not sent because it is identical to the previous one you sent less than 30 seconds ago. I should probably make this bot a moderator so that it can ignore some of those issues. So I'm going to do that. Hello, Princess Rika. Welcome back to the stream. Let's try this again. We'll say craps bet pass. And now it's a moderator. Excellent. It says unrecognized bet. It'd be nice if it were to say something else. We could say starts with pass. Let's try this. Say, if it doesn't start with that, then let's have an error. That could be the pass without a space. And then we could say you must specify an amount. Alright, so if the bet starts with the word pass, but doesn't have a space, we'll get this message. Otherwise, we'll go to the rest of this stuff. So let's give that a try. So same as before, let's try craps bet for the field. And recognize bet. Say craps bet pass with no amount. You must specify an amount. Craps bet pass for 0. Cannot place bet for 0. Let's say craps bet pass for -10. Cannot place bet for -10. And then craps bet pass for 101. So just over my limit. A bet of 101 exceeds our balance of 100. So let's try craps bet pass for 10. Bet made for $10 or 10 simoleons or whatever that symbol is. So sorry for polluting the chat with all that, just some basic testing here. And you can see that a lot of this logic is going to be very, very similar and repetitive for other bets. And so as I add in other bets in the future, I'm probably going to refactor all of this so that it's all nice and generic. But for now, we just need to support the pass line bet. Let's see, I want to clean up some of this, so let's get rid of the colons. Princess Rika says, spam, ban the spammers. Yeah, I actually had to make the bot a mod of the channel just so it didn't accidentally get banned for spamming. And I don't know what to do about all the spam. I'm not going to worry about it for the moment. If this bot becomes popular and I really want to make it an effective bot, I'll probably want to have it whisper people. But in order to whisper more than, I think, 400 people in a day, I'll need to, or whatever the rules are. Let me see what the rules are. There's Twitch message limits. Now it's Twitch bot rate limit, I think, is what I want to look for. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. But yeah, for whispers, you can do 3 per second up to 100 per minute, 40 accounts per day. So if for some reason I have more than 40 people playing this bot at any given time, I'll need to make this a known bot. Which didn't look hard, but it is more paperwork and stuff to address that. So for the moment, I'm kind of ignoring the issue. And if this bot really becomes popular and I decide to do something real with it, I will work to make it a little more spam friendly and use whispers and deal with this known bots paperwork. Princess Ricky says justice has been obstructed. Yes, not able to ban the spammer because it is a moderator of my channel. So let's continue to look here. We've just kind of cleaned up the messages. A lot of logic here. to handle a simple bet. I kind of want to check a couple more things. What happens if I send a message that is just nonsensical? If I say craps, bet, pass, and then give it a word rather than a number. Bet made for not a number. So obviously that's not going to work. So let's we need another kind of check here. So if the amount is not a number, correct technically, the best kind of correct. Yeah, let's see here what to do about this. Except the bet mean made, maybe. Yeah, well, good luck paying out on not a number. It's like, oh, you made your bet for not a number and you win, so I'm handing you not a number for your winnings. I'm sure that'll work just fine. Big says, gotta run, nice work. I won't see you on Sunday, so I'll try to catch you next week. All right, well, enjoy your weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl if you're watching that. Sorry I won't see you on Sunday. I should be back a week from Sunday, but I'll have to double check my schedule to know for sure. So, but have a great day. Thank you for hanging out today. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of junk that's open here. Let's see if I can clear out some of this. I have number.prototype. Number.is not a number. There we go. Let's see. If amount dot is not a number, we get a complaint. Let's do something here. Let's say var raw amount is equal to this. Or I can say amount string. Let's try this. We'll say amount string is equal to that, and then amount is equal to parse int of amount string. Times 100. So if not a number, we could say cannot place bet for raw amount. Because I get a little nervous repeating back what the player says. Princess Ricka says, about a JavaScript, everything is a string and not a string. Yeah, I know there's a lot of implicit type conversions, and I'm not sure how all that works on the back end. So I'm hopeful that is not a number will work properly. I'm not sure though. But yeah, I'm a little worried about repeating back this raw amount, because if somebody types in something that is rude or lengthy, I don't really want the bot to repeat that. So how about we don't store the amount string. Actually, I got it wrong here. I called it raw amount. We could say unable to parse bet. Princess Ricka says, nefarious plans filed before they begin. Yeah, I tend to think somewhat defensively about these things. I'm certainly not perfect, but I can begin to imagine how someone might try to abuse some of these things and try to do my best to curtail it. It's hard to guess everything that's going to happen, but just try to think it through as I'm working on stuff. So we'll say if it's not a number, we'll just say unable to parse bet. We'll stick with something nice and generic. I cannot place bet for amount. We can make this more generic. Could say, bet is too small. We could say bet exceeds your balance. Actually, I think for this one I do want to include their balance. We'll say bet exceeds your balance of blank. The reason why I'm not too worried about it here is because people will see the amount that they typed in, and so we don't need to repeat that back. And I guess that works for here as well. We don't need to repeat that back because people can see what they typed in. Unable to parse bet. Bet is too small. But here, they may not know their balance. So if we don't tell them their balance, their next question is what is my balance? Let's ask my balance. So why not just give it to them? Save them a round trip with the bot here. And then bet made for amount. Again, we could just say bet made because again we see the amount they typed in. So that'll help minimize some of the spam. So let's pull out the bot spammer and see what this does here. So again, if I try to place a bet, we'll say craps bet for a bet we don't support yet, the field. Unrecognized bet. Now I say craps bet pass, and don't give it. Don't give it anything here. It complains, it says you must specify an amount. And Princess Rika is trying to use the spam command, which is not recognized, and it just silently ignores it. And hello, Spider Hunter 03, welcome to the stream. We're just testing out a little craps chatbot that I'm working on here. Craps bet spam, unrecognized bet. And if I say craps bet pass, let's say if I don't specify an amount, it complains. If I specify a negative amount, oh, I crashed it. All right, I thought is not a number is a function, but oh, it is number dot is not a function. Okay. My bad. Princess Rika says, "Bwahahaha." Yes, I think sometimes people just watch to see things blow up. I'm okay with that. I've seen some really glorious bugs before, back when I used to work on more visual stuff, and I intend to get back to doing more visual stuff, and we will probably see some more glorious bugs in the future, but they're fun. So craps, bet, -10. Oops, we need the bet type. Princess Rika says, "Isn't that the fun of software development?" Sometimes when I was doing C++ OpenGL work and struggled with OpenGL and just got some crazy stuff going on, I saw some really, really interesting bugs. That was fun. Spider Hunter 03 says, I'm in the middle of working on my own chatbot, specifically working on a library for getting Overwatch stats for players, and then integrating that into the chatbot. Well, that sounds pretty cool. That's a nice cross-section of technology to be working with there. And hey, thank you for the follow. I do appreciate that. And let's try to place a bet that is totally unreasonable. I know what a parse bet. I can't place a kappa as a bet? Boo! Princess Ricker says, oh, that had to have been fun. Not mentally ill, but probably fun. Perhaps horrifying. It was interesting. It was really challenging. I hadn't done a lot of C++ for several years, and so I was struggling with everything. The syntax, the compiler, the linker, make files. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong. And that's even before I started talking about OpenGL, and OpenGL was its own can of worms, and just... And then math for getting things rendered and whatnot. Princess Rick says, why can't we bet kappa? I have more kappas than money. Yeah, let's see here. So now let's do the too large. Let's craps bet pass, and let's give it 101. Bet exceeds your balance of 100. Excellent. And finally... Oh, Princess Rick says, maybe try Vulkan next time. Oh, I looked at Vulkan. Someone who I was working with was like, let's do Vulkan. I took one look at it, and I'm like, I have to type in like 3 pages worth of code just to render a damn cube? Let alone anything more interesting than a cube, or maybe that was even just like one polygon, one triangle. I forget what it was, but it was just the amount of stuff you had to type in was just huge. Yeah, maybe not even a cube. I don't remember. My version of Hello World for OpenGL and Vulkan would have been probably a single triangle, and even just doing that was just really daunting. Oh, there you go. That's more reasonable. One triangle. Yeah. All right, so I make a pass line bet for 100. Bet made. And so I think that's a reasonable amount of spam. We'll have to evaluate that over time and see what we think of that. Now let's just see if the craps rule is still working here. Craps roll is working, and if craps balance is still working. Okay, so I think the basics are still working. Let's go revisit our logic for placing bets and see what to do here. So we need a way of storing bets. We have this player balances. Princess Rika says, I almost got something rendering in Vulkan once. Nice, that is way beyond what I got going. I took one look at, like, was it the tutorial or a guide or some example code and just kind of ran away screaming. It was just way, way, way more than I really cared to deal with. Let's say pass bets. Princess Rika says, the whole thing's a mess. Yeah, well, certainly for someone who's unfamiliar with doing that kind of development, it is a real challenge. But I can understand why they do it. You want access to the low-level interfaces for accessing your graphics card, and so the downside is you have to handle all this low-level kind of boilerplate stuff, and so it's a challenge. Princess Rika says, guides are a mess, tutorials are a mess, all the different tools scattered everywhere are a mess, the pages of boilerplate are a mess. Yeah, it is not fun to work with Vulkan. All right, so we have our pass bets. Spider Hunter 03 asks, how long have I been coding in my life? Oh, this is going to reveal how old I am. But professionally, for about 20 years now. Unprofessionally, through like school and stuff like that, probably closer to 30 years for the unprofessional stuff when I was working in, or not working, but doing projects in school and whatnot. And even longer than that if you count really basic crappy projects in really old computers. But I'd say 20 to 30 years depending on how far back you want to go. But typically 20 years professionally is what I would say these days. Princess Rika says, I want to play with Vulkan. It's done a great job of making itself unreachable. Do I need loaders? I don't know. Can't get them to build. Mess. Okay, I'll stop whining about Vulkan now. Princess Rika says, basic? Oh yes, I was working, this will really date me, but I was working on the Commodore 64 in their built-in basic interpreter. Spider Hunter 03 asks, what is my primary language? Most of the work I've ever done is in Java, and so I'd say that's the one I am most experienced with. Also done a bunch with JavaScript, as you can see, but Java is what I've done most of my work in, most of my professional work at least. Alright, so I've created our past bets map. Let's start taking a look at how to add stuff to it here. So first for the pass line, I think we can make a pass line bet at any time. There's other bets that are limited in terms of when you can place it, but the pass line is not one of them. So we can place it at any time. What do we want to do if they've already placed a bet to the pass line bet? Do we want to allow them to place a second bet? I think for simplicity, I will not let them place a second bet. Princess Rika inserts a silly joke implying that Java and JavaScript are related. I've actually had that discussion with more people than I care to admit that think that and people who should know better, people who develop software and know languages and should know better, still get Java and JavaScript confused. So it's a funny joke. You know, insert laugh, knee slap laugh here. But I do run into that a little bit. So trying to think through here, let's see if we get through the gauntlet of all the parsing and we actually have an amount that we're willing to place a bet on. I think now we want to do a check for if this dot, I call that what, pass bets? Yeah, pass bets. Dot isn't what contains. Let's go look up the API for maps here. Is there a search? Let's try a search here for map. I can type honest. There's probably a contains or has. This is where knowing multiple languages gets you in trouble because I think Java would be contains, but JavaScript is has. So if this dot has username, let's just do another message here. You've already made this bet. And I'm keeping these messages nice and generic. I'll eventually fix these up a little bit as I add more bets, but for now, since we're only supporting the pass line, I am not mentioning the type of bet in any of these messages here. And plus, you can see the bet the person is making in their own message, so it doesn't really matter. So otherwise, let's say this dot pass bets dot, is it put or set? I forget. I made this mistake once already. Set. We'll go with set, and this is username, comma value. So now we officially allow you to place the bet. We don't actually do anything with it yet. And so what we need to do now is go to the kind of logic section and handle this here. Actually, there's a little more to think about right now. Well, let's deal with this part first. What I'm thinking of is we have some balance issues to deal with, where if a player gets their balance and they have a bet on the table, we have, if you're familiar with a physical craps table, you have kind of your chips right in front of you that are in the tray in front of you. And then you have the chips that are actually on the table. And even though you haven't won or lost the bet on the table yet, that money is not something that you could simply move somewhere else without taking down the bet. And so for tracking things like balances, we'll need to be a little more careful about tracking, the money you have in front of you versus the money on the table. And I'll have to think about that and add logic to deal with that. For now, since we only have this one bet, and you can't make more than one of this same bet, I'm not going to worry about that, but that'll be something to consider down the road. Alright, so we've got our logic for handling the roll of the dice. If we don't have a point, we check to see if we've established a point. Again, a 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 establishes a point. What we don't have here is what happens if you roll a 7 or 11 or a 2, 3, or 12. So I think what I want to do is create a couple of helper functions here. Trying to think through how I want to format these things or put these things. I kind of have helper functions up above, so let's put these here. We'll say, hello, Stevoid1990. Welcome back to the stream. Let's add a function for a pass line win. Let's add another function for a pass line loss. Actually, let's call this pass bet. So pass bet loss, pass bet win. And so what's this going to look like? We want to iterate over the bets, and I actually have example code for how that might look like. Let's go bring that back. Yeah, there we go. So for let key of balances, we'll say username. Let's spell it correctly though. Username of this dot, is it pass bets? Yeah, pass bets. Instead of logging stuff, we're going to do something with this. So let's say this dot balances, or is it player balances? And it's dot set username. And then we'll say this.playerbalances.get username. So we're incrementing it here. That's plus this.passbets.get of username. Oh, that's ugly. So we're basically taking their balance and adding their bets to their balance because they won. Spider Header says your primary language is C#. I've done a bunch of C# as well. I did C# professionally for a few years, and I'm looking to get back into C# to do work with Unity. I've actually did some tutorials with Unity on Monday. Not on stream, I'm doing those on my own, but I am slowly working towards being able to do some actual work with Unity and hoping to start doing that on stream before too long here. So I say this.playerbalances.set username, this player balances get username, plus this passbets get username. Now the reason why this works is because we never actually decremented their balance when we placed the bet. And so since we're just keeping that nice and simple, we simply add their winnings to their balance. Now at the very end we can say this.player, or this.passbets. I think it's clear is what I want. The clear method removes all elements from a map object, and how does that differ from delete? Delete removes the specific element. So yeah, clear is correct. Let's go ahead and clear it. So we pay all the bets and then we clear it. And now for a pass bet loss, we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing, except we're going to subtract. But then again, clear out the pass bets. Oh, this has a real smell to it here. A code smell. Because these functions are like 99.9% identical. The only difference between them is one has a minus sign, the other has a plus sign. And so, let's think through how to handle this here. Let's say process bets. And we'll say, we'll have them pass in which bets we want to process. And then we could do a function for I'm not sure what to name this. But this function would be for whether it is a plus or a minus or something more elaborate. So we could say let's go operation for now. And let's just so we could do. So for let username of bets, we're still going to set player balances for username, but instead we're going to call a function operation. We're going to get the first variable, the second variable, and this is going to, oh, Spiderheader says you'll be right back. All right. This is going to be bets.get. Let's go see what this does. The last operation is we do, instead of this pass bets, we'll say bets.clear. Actually, since we have just the one bet, let's do this for the moment. Let's get rid of the bets parameter and go back to some of what we had before. Let's just handle the operation aspects. And let's bring this back. So process. Screw it, I'm going to keep it generic. I'm kind of optimizing, pre-optimizing a little bit early, but I kind of have a sense as to where I'm going to go, and I'm okay with this. You generally don't want to optimize or refactor too much before you need to, because you always run the risk of guessing wrong, and so I run the risk of guessing wrong, but I've already done the work, so why not? So that means we have just one function, and then what we need now is kind of a plus and minus operation. So I could say, bet 1. I'll say balance, comma, bet. Say return balance plus bet. Then let's do bet lost. Return balance minus bet. And so we've refactored down the one thing that changed, the minus sign versus the plus sign, into this one section. We've got a bet won and a bet lost, and so now when someone wins or loses, and we call process bets, we could pass in the function we want to use, assuming I get the syntax correct and all that, but I feel pretty comfortable with what we got so far. So let's try this. So let's say check to see if we have a winner. check to see if we have a winner. So in this case, it is 7 or 11 is an immediate winner. And what do? We call this dot process bets. We're going to pass in this dot pass bets, so it processes the pass line bets, and then the function is this dot pass, or what did I call it?
If you are too demanding or too greedy,
Bet 1. Bet 1 is the function we're going to do on that.
your mind becomes demanding. When you long for something, you will end up violating your own precepts.
And that's it. We're not going to do anything else. We're not going to do any output here, although I want to have the process bets do an output. But we'll address that in a bit. So check to see if we have a winner.
When our mind is compassionate,
Check to see if we have a loser. And losses in the comment roll is a 2.
also the real secret of the art. Always be a beginner. Be very, very careful about this.
3 or 12 are all immediate losers. So now we can say this dot bet lost. Check to see if we have established a point. If we do, we don't have any immediate winners or losers. We check to see if the point was made. If the point is made, we do have a winner, so let's go process that. Let's grab the bet 1 line here. Check to see if we 7'd out. If we do, then we've lost. Let's go add some commentary to our process bet functions. So what I want to have is like a variable that's like var, bet result, or let's go var result is equal to, got the win loss result, which preferably would be through the operation function, but right now the operation function gives us a total of what their new balance is. So what I'd like to do is say something like let's try bet result instead. We'll say bet result based on the bet. And so this way, if they win, this will be positive. If they lose, that'll be negative. So now let's say, let's go back to what we had before. This dot get username plus result. So again, if they win, their result will be positive. If they lose, the result will be negative, and we'll just add it in either case. So now we can go back to our bet lost and bet won and fix these up a little bit. If you win, return your bet. If you lose, return negative of your bet. And so if result is greater than 0, let's say something here. We're on line 80. Let's just grab something. We'll go back to line, oops. Is it Control G? There we go. So we want to say something like username wins. Say wins this dot format currency of results. Let's go fix that up. Just don't return there otherwise. And this is actually pretty small, so let's get rid of this compound statement. We'll say this dot on message username lost, and then we want to format a negative result here. So they're still losing, but we need to negate the results so we don't output a negative value. So I think this is good enough. Let's just double check the roll logic and see what's going on here. If we roll a 7 or 11, we call process bets. We pass in the pass bets, and we pass in the bet 1. If we roll 2, 3, or 12, we call process bets. Pass in pass bets, pass in bet lost. If we established a point, we don't do anything with the bets. If the point was made, we process bets and say bet 1. If we 7 out, we say process bets and pass in bet lost. So I think that logic is sound. Just going to double check process bets here. We iterate over username of bets. We get the result by calling bet result, either bet 1 or bet lost, whatever's passed in. We set the balances by getting their balance and adding their result, either positive or negative. If result is greater than 0, they've won. Otherwise, they lost. We have a small potential for a bug here in that if the result is ever 0, we will say they lost 0. But we have logic in place to not allow someone to set a bet of 0. And I think we're just not going to handle that, because you should never really have a result of 0 for a bet. If we do, we'll revisit this. But I think the logic is sound. Let's give this a try, and probably watch it blow up spectacularly for a little while I fix up my syntax errors here. I forgot some commas on these functions, as I always tend to do. I'm not used to working in a class in this fashion. Okay, so we don't have a point. Let's go place a bet and see if we can win here. So craps bet pass for $1 on the pass line. Boom, crash. So I probably mistyped a variable here. It says value doesn't exist. Let's check that out. Probably because it's a mount, would be my guess. Yeah, it's a mount. One of the things I miss about a compiled language like C, C++, Java, is when you screw up something like that, the compiler lets you know before you have to run it and test it. JavaScript you don't find out till after you're running it, and it's frustrating sometimes. So let's try again. Say craps bet pass 1. Bet made. If anyone else wants to place a bet and give this a try, feel free to do so. I'm going to have stream elements give this a try here. All right, let's roll the dice and see what we get here. Craps, roll. All right, so we've established a point of 8. Now we need to roll another 8 before we roll that bad number, which those of you who play craps will know that is very bad luck to say that number, so I'm not going to say that number right now. Roll a 4, so we're still alive. Staying alive. Staying alive. I'll just spam chat until we get a crash. Ah, yeah, looks like I screwed up something here. Let's take a look. This is line number 75. Right, so I typed in this variable bet, but that doesn't exist. We need to do, it's bets.get username. And I think that is it. I don't think there's any other occurrences of bet in here. We have bets, but bets is correct. So let's try this one more time and see what we get. So I will place my own bet. We'll say craps bet pass of 1. Then we'll have stream elements do their bet. And let's roll until we win or lose. Hey, we have a winner. Uh-oh. Cute Pixel lost, not a number. Okay, wow, there's some weird stuff going on there. Let's take a look. So we have the username followed by a comma followed by 100. Followed by lost. Huh. Not quite sure what the heck's going on here. So I think for the moment, let's... I was wondering if bets is coming in correctly, but I think bets is coming in correctly. See, Frosty says, okay, so I was able to find my server and project, and I was able to make a video. Just have to render it in another format so that I can upload it when it's done. Okay, excellent. Yeah, cool. I'll take a look at that when you have that all ready. So I think bets is being passed in properly here. I have no clue what is going on with... Oh, bets.keys. That's what I'm missing. I forgot to get the keys. That's where the comma 100 is coming from, because it's actually pulling out entries. So the name comma 100 is an entry, and that's probably why everything else is failing. So let's try this one more time. Go ahead and rerun it. I will place my own bet here. Craps bet pass for 1. Then I will let stream elements place their bet. Now let's give this a try. Okay, so we've established a point of 8. We need to roll another 8 before we roll that bad number. Roll a 9, no effect. Roll a 10, no effect. Roll a 5, no effect. And Frosty says, and I'm dumb, why don't I just upload it to YouTube as unlisted? That'll work, yeah. That unlisted would be great. Okay, so the logic appears to be working. Both myself and stream elements lost. Let me just check my balance to make sure that my balance is actually been diminished. Excellent. The order of operations here doesn't look so great. I think I'd rather have the 7 out appear first, and then the 1 lost messages. So let's go back and look at that here. That's not going to be part of process bets. That's going to be part of the roll logic. So here we have no output. We just have 7 or 11 automatic winner, 2, 3, 12 automatic loser. Point established. And so yeah, we have the point was made. We probably want to do that before we process bets. We'll do that as well. And we'll process bets after this as well. In fact, let's keep the order of operations the same. So we'll set the point to no point. We'll set it to 0. We'll say the point was made. And then we'll process bets. We set the point to 0. We say 7 out. And then we'll process bets. So I know it's going to be a lot more spam, but let's try that one more time here. So craps, bets, pass for 1. And stream elements will make their bet. And let's give it a try. Oops. Guess that was a point of 5. I got to hit another 5 here. 4, no effect. 8, no effect. 4, no effect. 3, no effect. 9, no effect. We could be here a little while waiting for this 5 to come up. This brings to mind that I might want to add in cheat codes. Oh, there we go. That'll work. So we have a 7 out. I lost. Stream elements lost $1 each. So the logic seems to be working just fine. Well, let's try my balance again. And if I now try to set a bet or make a bet of, say, 100, it should fail. Bet exceeds your balance of blah, blah, blah. So I think we're looking pretty good. Let's go take a look at the Git diff and see where we're at here. We've changed craps table quite a bit, so let's take a look. We've added a new map for pass bets. That's how we're going to track the pass line bets. We've added get balance. This is just a small refactoring. We had this logic elsewhere. We've just pulled it out because we need to have that logic in multiple places. Then we have our helper functions for bet won and bet lost. That basically returns a positive or negative version of that bet, depending on whether you won or lost. Process bets takes in a map of bets and a bet result operation. We use that function to compute the bet result. Then we update the player balances with the result of that bet. If the result is greater than 0, we say you won. If it's less than 0, we say they lost. And then we clear out the bets. So that way, if we were to keep running, which I'm not going to do on stream because it's a lot of spam here, if we were to keep running, those bets would be cleared. What we really need is kind of a hack or a cheat code where I could type in the dice to roll so that we don't have to go through all that spam just to get through one result. But we'll see. Let me just add a note for that here. Add dice rolling cheat code. I'm questioning that because I don't want to have something like that be present and allow administrators to cheat, but it doesn't really matter. If they want to cheat, they can cheat anyways, so it'll be really helpful for debugging and development purposes. So I think I will keep that and just recognize that administrators can cheat no matter what. And Frosty, yes, I saw your direct message there. Thank you for that. I will make a note of that and check it when I have a chance. So yeah, I think that die rolling cheat code will come in handy. I won't add it right now because I want to finish up the current process, but that's the thought. So we clear the bets. For process command, we've added a new command, a bet command. Then we have the logic to check if we've won. So in the come out roll, if we don't have a point, Frosty says, or you could add just an exception for just me. Well, since it's open source, I don't want to put my name in the source code directly if I can help it. What I've done so far is I've created this configuration template, and I've identified or allowed people to configure who the bot owner is. So probably I'll just allow the cheat code commands to be used by the bot owner. And actually what I might do is I might put in like a debug flag or something in here, so if debug is true, none of that stuff will work. Might be another option. We'll see. It'll be handy for developing, and I'll keep it there as long as it's handy. Let's see, continuing on here. So we now have our craps logic. If we have a 7 or 11, we win automatically. We win right away. or pass line bets. If we have a loss, pass bets lose. 2, 3, 12 is a loss. If we make our point, that's a win. If we 7 out, that's a loss. Here we have a weird diff. So we've updated show balance to say this on message, just send. And we just simplified some of this logic here is all that was. So we've added handle bet. If it starts with pass, we check to see if it really starts with pass, or at least a space after the pass. If not, we complain you must specify an amount. Let's see, then we try to parse it. If we get not a number, we complain unable to parse bet. If the amount is less than 1, we say bet is too small. If it is greater than your balance, we say bet exceeds your balance of blah blah blah. And then if the bet already exists, we haven't tested this yet. Let me go ahead and test that real fast, and we'll see if that still works. Finally, we say bet made and place the bet. If they say something other than pass, we get an error saying unrecognized bet. So let's give this a try here. Let's see if duplicating the bet gives a proper error message here. So we'll do this with stream elements. It's just faster. Sure, so that seems to work just fine. The other thing I want to try is, or the other thing I want to look at is how to format responses to users. Because when it's myself, if I say craps bet pass 1, it pings me, gives me my name, and that's highlighted in black, and then says bet made, and it looks great. But when I look at stream elements bet, that is not so great. It's not highlighted as well. As I'm wondering if there's a way to better highlight that. I want to look up commands of stream elements. I think we have an uptime command. Yeah, KidPixel has been streaming for 2 hours, 58 minutes. It's a little weird because it's responding to me and then telling me how long I've been streaming, so I'm getting pinged twice. Let's see if I can do this. I wonder if stream elements will respond to itself. No, it won't respond to itself. Well, if somebody is in chat and listening and willing to type in an uptime command or something else from stream elements, so I could just confirm what that looks like, that would be handy. Otherwise, I guess I kind of see what it's doing here. I just need to confirm what the spacing is in that response. Not seeing anything around. I will just code that up myself real fast. Try to think through what's the fastest way to handle this, but something like this should work. just do this. We'll say the uptime. Request the bounce to cause that to fire here. Alright, so it does at queue to test, and is that a comma right afterwards? Let's take a look. Yeah, so I think we could do, at username, comma, message. Let me just check the other commands that we might have here. And what's enabled? We've got so we've got follow age, account age. Let's try account age. Trying to find a response that has a sentence. I'll enable this one briefly. Nope, that's not enableable. I don't know. I think I will, let's just experiment a little bit to see what it looks like here. So let's look at all of the messages that we send and kind of do that basic formatting here. So if we win, we'll say, at plus username plus comma, we'll go lowercase 1 and then the amount. And we'll say at plus username, comma, lost and the amount. Role is not directed to a user, so that's fine. Do point established and not directed to user, that's fine. Point was made, fine. 7 out, fine. Oh, let's get rid of this. So here we have, you must specify an amount. So let's say, in fact, I'm just realizing I'm doing so many user messages here. Let's just create a function for this to simplify this. So let's say, we'll say user message, username message. Let's just grab one of these here. So this on message at username, comma, plus message. So that'll kind of combine all that together there. So let's go look at this one more time. So this dot on user message, say username, comma, and let's add a space after the comma here. Already got that. Never mind. That is good. Yeah, so username 1, blah, blah, blah. So now we do the same thing on user message. Username, comma, lost. And continue on down. So role is not to a user. That's not to a user. The new point's not to a user. The point was made is not to a user. 7 out is not to a user. This is though. So this is on user message. So username, comma. Have another message here. Let me take a look. Yep, I saw your message. Thank you for that, Frosty. We'll try a lowercase balance, see how that looks. Continue on through the list here. So on message for you must specify an amount. This will be a user message. Continuing on, unable to parse bet. So this will be another user message. And Frosty says, and about adding you as the cheat, you could always just comment that out for the released version. True. And I think I'm okay with leaving it in. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's completely open source, so anyone can take the code and add in their own cheats if they wanted to cheat. And so I would say let's have an official cheat that we can use for development and testing, and we may just leave that in for the released version and call that good. You know, just give someone, if an administrator wants to test it and see if it does the way they want it to, it'll be available. Because like, you remember all those old games, well, I don't know what your age is, but you know, the old, like, original Nintendo games and whatnot would have cheat codes, and old PC games would have cheat codes because they would add those for development purposes, and then they would just keep them in the game. Now, of course, it's all DLC. You have to pay, get access to the same stuff these days. Not that I'm bitter about that or anything. I'm a little bitter. But in my case, I see no reason to hide that stuff. If I build it, might as well keep it if it's useful. Oh, this will be a little weird. Let's see here. How bad is this? Can I line it up like this, and will that fit? That will fit. Yeah, let's go with that. The next one, we've got a message here, another user message. Username, comma. You've already made this bet. And then another user message, user. Frosty says, well, I was also thinking, so you can't join in other people's channels that has this and cheat on their channel. Well, the cheat, if I add the cheat and I commit it in a released version, it would be at the very least tied into the bot owner. And so they would go in and configure their bot owner, and only the person who's done that would be able to cheat. I certainly wouldn't add in my own name and expect me to be able to cheat in somebody else's channel. That would just that'd be really rude. So I wouldn't do that. That would just not be really, that'd be really bad software development strategy there for open source code to do something like that. But my thought is, whatever I do, I would make it configurable so that the bot owner, you look at my configuration, I've configured myself for my bot owner, but the committed version of this file doesn't have a bot owner. They've got to modify the template to create their own owner. So I think that would be okay. But yeah, that's a good point. I certainly don't want to do something that only I would have access to. That's part of why I wouldn't want to commit a configuration with my name on it, because that is something that would be allowed to be abused by me if somebody doesn't catch it, and that wouldn't be any good. Username, comma. Oops. So yeah, let's test all this here. I'm going to go back and update my test command. I feel like I'm abusing stream elements a little more than I probably should, but it is handy to have a testing account here. And yeah, I'm just going to do a quick test of all these different messages here. It's going to be a lot more spam on the chat, so I apologize for that. Just there isn't really a better way of testing this other than inflicting it on chat, so that's what I will do. Looks like I messed something up here. Frosty says, I meant to, if you commented yourself out, also people can then just find that block, remove your name, and then add theirs or whatever. Yeah, exactly. If I add that block, people can change it and whatnot. And so my thought is to make it a real feature that is supported, that if somebody enables the right configuration, they will have access to it. I'd rather do that than like a hidden secret type thing. So that was kind of my thought, that if I do add it, I'm not going to go out of my way to really make it hidden or anything, and just make it available. I'm guessing I forgot a comma here somewhere, probably around user message. Yeah. I'm really bad at adding commas around these things. Let's try this again. So let's use... Frosty says, Easter egg for coders. Exactly, yes. I'll try the test. Craps bet pass on user message is not a function. Why is it not a function? Oh, damn it. So I typed in on user message when it's really user message. I gotta fix every single one of these. I was close, though. Let's try this one more time. Yeah, so we have the their name, and a comma, and so now if I'm looking at it, I see enough of a delimiter there that I can still sort of see what's going on. So I think that'll work. Let me make my own bet here. Well, actually, let's do the test to make sure that this error works. You've already made this bet. Excellent. So now I will do my own testing. We'll say craps bet. So that doesn't work because we don't pass it in if there's no space there. So that's another case to consider. Let's look at this. So yeah, now let's do a starts with bet without the space. So if I just type in bet, it'll go in. Now let's go to the process bet or handle bet. And let's say if command that starts with bet. Then we'll do an error message here. You must specify which bet you wish to make. And return. Frosty says, I wish Linux wasn't so complicated to get started with. The terminal is the main reason why I'm not using it. Remembering all those commands for everything is just hard, especially if you're like me. I have a very hard time learning languages. I'm more of a numbers guy. Well, I know Linux and the Linux terminal is really daunting. Probably one important thing to remember is modern Linux distros like Ubuntu, you can do a whole ton of stuff without having to touch the command line. Like I could probably install a JavaScript IDE that allows me to run all this without needing a command line. I could almost certainly find a Git client that is all graphical and doesn't require the command line. And so, much like Windows, there's going to be a lot of tools that will work via the graphical display. For those times with command line, a lot of it's just going to be learning how to do stuff. Start small. Learning how to navigate the file system. What does the ls command do? What does the cd command do? And just slowly over time build up your knowledge. It's like, I'm quite knowledgeable with the Linux command line, but this knowledge has been built up over years. When I started, I struggled. I was like, why doesn't dir work? Oh. Well, screw me, dir works now. They've added a dir command, probably because of Windows users. It's probably an alias for ls, yeah. So that's a bad example. The dir command used to not work, but now it works. cd works just like it does on Windows, with the exception that you use slash rather than backslash for delimiters. But start small and work your way up for anything you got to learn. And I think for the most part you can avoid the console if you want to. Alright, so if the command does not start with the word bet and a space, you must specify which bet you wish to make. I think we could do something similar for craps, the craps command. You can do this. and pass in message. Process command, so we could do this. Let's make that a variable. Just trying to find the process command. Here we go. Yeah, so let's say if command. Actually, let's go with message here. So let's say message. If message doesn't start with craps followed by a space. You must specify a subcommand. Something vague and generic, so if somebody just types in craps with no parameters or no commands or anything, we will have that that error come back. So let's see what this does. See, Frosty says, I've tried to use Linux over a year on a VM. Tried every day to try and learn how it worked. Also limited myself to Ubuntu, but nothing stuck. My friend just set it up for me. No help be on the web browser, basically. And then after that year, I just gave up. Yeah, one of the things I did with Linux is I just jumped in feet first. I installed Linux on my machine, and that's all I installed. And so if I wanted to get anything done, I had to figure out how to do it on Linux. And for the first few weeks, it sucked. Because, like, just basic stuff. How to get my graphics card working. How to install things. How to do anything. How to do keyboard shortcuts and mouse gestures and everything I could think of. It sucked, as you could probably imagine. But I was forced to learn. If you're doing a virtual machine or something that you don't have to work with, you can poke at it for till you get frustrated, and then you walk away, and then that's it. You might never be forced to learn anything. So try craps by itself. You must specify a subcommand. Let's try craps bet. You must specify a subcommand. Uh-oh. Something's not correct there. Oh, we need to have the exclamation point there. But I recognize why you may not want to do that, because you obviously use your computer for stuff and probably gaming, and oh yes, and yeah, that's what I did. I had to go back to Windows for that year, unless I was really forced to, like if someone sent me a message on Skype or something. Ah, well then that's kind of the best way to do it, and if that didn't take, then I'm not sure what other options to try. That worked for me, but obviously there might need to be something else that'll work for you. Or if you had to take a break with a game or something. I think I did that too. I think I might have still had Windows around to do gaming, but tried to do all my work, all my word processing and programming was all on Linux. Excellent. So we have craps works. You must specify a subcommand. Craps bet. You must specify which bet you wish to make. Craps bet pass. You must specify an amount. Craps bet pass Unable to parse the bet. Well, you can't parse a Twitch emote. Then craps, bet, pass, -1. Bet is too small. Craps, bet, pass, 0. Also too small. Craps, bet, pass. What other errors do we got here? So we've hit you must specify a subcommand. We've hit you must specify which bet you wish to make. You must specify an amount. I think we got that. Yep. Unable to parse bet. Yep. Bet is too small. Yep. Bet exceeds your balance. Yeah, let's try that. Bet exceeds your balance of 100. So you've already made this bet. And unrecognized bet. Let's try unrecognized bet. So craps bet kappa. Unrecognized bet. Craps bet. Pass 1. Bet made. Let's try that for stream elements. And have that come up with the error. You've already made this bet. Excellent. And now let us see if we can run through the betting process. Let's do the craps roll. Hey, we win! Excellent. So Cute Pixel won $1, Stream Elements won $1. And let's check my balance. Oops, it's craps balance. 101, excellent. So now if I go nutso, let's say craps bet pass for 101. And see where we go. Oh, we've established a point of 10. I'm in trouble now. Because a 10 is going to be really hard to hit before we hit something else. 3. Lots of 5s. Oh, there's the 7. 7 out. I lose 101. So my balance is now going to be 0. Oops, I screwed that up again. It's craps balance. Balance is 0. Uh-oh. So let's try a craps bet of 5. Oops. Craps bet pass 5. Bet exceeds my balance of 0. Now let's make a bet for 0, which is... Bet is too small, so I can't bet. I burned through my bankroll. This leads me to this other task. I maintain a minimum balance for each player. Players below the minimum balance are set to the minimum balance after a 7 out. So right now I've screwed myself. I can't place any more bets until I stop and restart the bot. And I'd want to have players be able to get more money if they completely empty their bank account. Okay, so I think all of that stuff is working. We've seen losers and we've seen winners, and I've tested all of the error messages that I could think of. Let me just do a quick check and see what we got here. Say a user message. Yep, we've got the won and the lost. You must specify a subcommand. We've got that. We've tested the balance a couple of times. You must specify which bet you wish to make. Yep, we've tested that. You must specify an amount. Yep. Unable to parse. Yep. Bet is too small. Yep. Bet exceeds your balance of blank. Yep. You've already made this bet. Yep. Bet made and unrecognized bet. Yeah, so I think all that's been tested. So let's go back to the git diff and see where we are at here. Alright, so going through this once more time, we have added our pass bets data structure as a new map. We've added a user message function that kind of encapsulates the logic of adding the @ sign, the username, the comma, and the message, comma space, and the message. We've added getBalance as a helper function or a refactoring of the balance logic, because we needed to do this block in multiple places, and so we've done that now. Then we have logic for processing bets. We have bet won, bet lost to process the bet. If you win, you get your bet back. If you lose, you get negative your bet. Processing bets. We iterate over through all the bets that are made. We get the result. And we set the player balance based on their current balance plus their result. Positive result is you've won, negative result is you've lost. And then we clear out all the bets. We've massaged process command a little bit. We now allow them to issue a craps command with no parameters, and if we do, we complain and say you must specify a subcommand. Then we get the command out. We've added this bet processing. If it starts with bet, we handle the bet. We've added winner-loser logic to the rolling logic. If we roll a 7 or 11 on the combat roll, we've won. If we roll a 2, 3, or 12, we've lost. If we hit our point, we win. If we don't hit our point and we hit a 7 instead, we lose. Show balance. This is the tail end of the refactoring to move the get balance logic somewhere else. Because here we have set the starting balance of each player. That all just moved. Or set the starting balance for players. That moved elsewhere. And instead we just send out a user message with the balance. Then we have handle bet. If it doesn't start with bet space, we say you must specify which bet you wish to make. Then we pull out the bet. If it starts with pass, then we check to see if there's parameters or release a space afterwards. If not, you must specify an amount. Then we parse it. If it's not a number, we couldn't parse it, so we say unable to parse bet. If it's less than 1, it's too small. If it's greater than your balance, it's too large, and we return their balance. And so we do this .get balance. I'm going to want to think that through for a second here, but I'll finish the review. This pass bets has, so it has the bet already. We complain you've already made this bet. User message, bet made, and then we place the bet. Otherwise, if we don't recognize it, if we only recognize the pass line right now, we complain and say unrecognized bet. Then we made a very minor change in the Twitch implementation, and that we pass in the craps command with no processing, just so that we could complain if they don't pass in craps with a space or craps without any subcommand, and we might at some point have like a help response if they pass in craps with no parameters. So that just allows us to do more intelligent handling on that. And so the reason why I paused here with this get balance is I want to see where that gets used. And it may not have to be used in all the places that it is used currently. So we have the function show balance. Yeah, this is important because, well, we need to get it. Let's just see what it does again. It just returns it. I don't know, I may just be consistent and use it everywhere. We'll see. I'll think through what's going on here. Because the alternative is I need to think through where I should use it and where I shouldn't. You know, here, show balance, I really need to use it here because someone could ask for their balance before their balance has been established elsewhere. So I absolutely need to do it here. And then here, I need to do it here as well, because this is placing a bet. If a player starts out by placing a bet, their balance may not be set yet. So I think those are the two places I absolutely have to use get balance. Here, I don't, because at this point the balance has already been set, and I could just go straight to the data structure. So the next question is who goes through the data structure? Let me just look up who goes through the data structure, and maybe just do get balance instead. So we initialize it. Here we're in get balance, we don't care here. Here we're setting it, so this is fine. And we could do get balance here. So yeah, we'll go ahead and say get balance here, just so that anytime we get the balance, we will use this helper function just to not have to think about it. That's kind of my thought here. Oh, that's it. That's the only place that was used. So we use it in get balance, which makes sense, and we use it in a process best to set the balance. We don't use it anywhere else. So yeah, that looks like a great change. Let's just do another quick test here to see if all this works. Make sure I haven't typed in any minor typos. The main thing is to get a quick win or loss. So I'm just going to do a quick win-loss test here. And we'll do a craps roll to simulate rolling. Establish a point of 9. And I got to hit a 9 before we hit that bad number. There's a 6. A 5. Still looking for that 9, that point of 9. 10. Another 6. Come on, 9. 8 is close to 9. Come on, 9. Yeah, I definitely need to implement that cheat code so I don't have to spam the crap out of my chat channel here. I think that'll be next on my list. There's the 9. We got a winner. The point was made. Stream elements won, and I won. So excellent. That all seems to be working. Let's check my balance. All right, I need to do craps balance. I keep forgetting that. All right, everything seems to be working. So the basic process, the basic game loop works, and I haven't broken anything by making that small refactoring. So let's just do a quick look through everything here. So the only real change I did is part of bet processing. I did a this.getBalance as opposed to interacting with the data structure directly, the map directly. Everything else is all the same. And this looks like a very good commit point. I've got a great amount of work done here. So, add ability to place, pass, line bets. Say make, because place is a craps term. It's a craps bet, name of a craps bet. So add ability to make pass line bets. Now that's done. That's a pretty major block of work there. 123 lines of code added, 9 deleted. Next up is the dice rolling cheat code. However, at this point, I've been streaming for just shy of 4 hours, about 3 hours and 40 minutes. My voice is beginning to go. I'm coughing a bit, and it's tough to mute myself. And so I think I'm going to head out for tonight. For those who like what you're watching, this is my stream schedule. I've been working on my open source Twitch craps table chatbot today. My next stream will be Sunday, February 3rd at 9 a.m. These are in United States Pacific time, so adjust your time zone appropriately. And I realize that is Super Bowl Sunday. I will wrap up my stream before the Super Bowl begins, so if you wish to watch both, you will not conflict with the Super Bowl if you're watching my stream. Let me go push this change to GitHub real fast. Oh, I have not actually pushed to GitHub today. It wants my SSH key. Let me give that real fast here. For those who wish to check out this code, it is available on GitHub, on github.com/cudepixel/twitchcrapsbot. The code I just committed is pushed there and available right now, so feel free to take a look if you want. And yeah, back to my stream schedule. This concludes my stream for today. Thank you very much for checking me out. I will see you next time.